Texans Swarm. All right, Joe, real quick.
Okay.
What tier of the NFL would you rank the Houston Texans defense in right now on today, July 1st, 2024?
Probably like the lower part of the second group. Like, not the 49ers. The Eagles had a bad year a little bit last year, but they're not the Eagles. They had a pretty good defense, but there's some major holes.
I think they are good. There are lots of questions about their second cornerback position. There are some questions about linebacker depth and defensive tackle depth and safety, but they definitely improved this offseason. But that is not the vibe that I got on the Mina Kimes show featuring ESPN's Mina Kimes and Jon Ledyard, an NFL analyst. Jon Ledyard has the Houston Texans ranked where among defenses in the NFL?
I am just head over heels all in on the Houston Texans defense. I love it.
3. Okay, your list is so wild. The Texans made my top 10, and I was like, yeah, they're making the leap. 3 is crazy.
I'm rewarding them for going out and adding to what was already a pretty good group. I think Will Anderson can be a star. Adding Danielle Hunter is a massive, massive upgrade to what they had before, I think, even though I like Greenard. Adding Danico Autry and move the flow into the Raider. That guy's been waiting to play on a contender type of team, and he has been a difference maker his whole career, and I think he will add another piece to what they do up front. So I was a big fan of those additions. I think they're just deeper up front in general. They have a lot of playable guys. So I am a big fan of that because that's how they built successful defense in this style of defense. The track record is in place. I think Al-Shair, to be able to run their stuff, I think is really key. Guy who has experience in that defense.
The number 3 defense in the NFL,
Man.
Your Houston Texans, per Jon Ledyard of, I think he's what's the website that he works for? Bucks beat reporter and draft analyst. That's what it says on his LinkedIn.
Number 3?
Number 3.
That's a huge jump.
3's insane. I think they've gotten better. 3 is effing insane.
I mean, what they did on defense was they double and triple down on pass rushers. They said, we're going to get after the quarterback, and then they completely ignored the biggest flaws of their defense, which is their second corner, really their third corner, because even though we love Derek Stingley Jr., hasn't played a full season yet, and they ignored the safety position. Like, while their defense should be improved, they completely ignored those 3 positions.
They got Kamari Lassiter. We're liking what we're hearing about him in the offseason, but I don't think that they addressed that second cornerback position with a serious contender that we should be believing in on today, July 1st, 2024, to be very good during the regular season. Plenty of time between now and then. Hopefully Lassiter's the guy, but Jeffrey Okudah, CJ Henderson, I am not feeling it with those 2. So, then on top of that, as you said, Derek Stingley Jr., health is always a question mark. The secondary is definitely something that I feel like would prevent them from being number 3. And yeah, they added 28 sacks in Danico Autry and Danielle Hunter, and Will Anderson's going to be in his second year. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of reasons to get excited about the pass rush, but is the pass rush alone going to carry the defense? I think that they are in the top half of the NFL as far as defense, and I think by the end of the year, they might be playing like one of the better defenses in the league. 3 is crazy to me.
For them to be a top 3 defense in the NFL, they're going to have 55-plus sacks, which is only an increase of 9 from last year. But I just don't believe in the secondary in that way, where if you're going to be a top 3 defense in the NFL, you have to probably be top 3, which last year was 60, 57, or 56 sacks on the year. The year before, the Philadelphia Eagles, when they had a great defense, kind of questionable secondary in some spots, they had 70 sacks that season. I don't buy that. To me, if the Texans are going to go to a Super Bowl this year, go to an AFC title game for the first time in franchise history, it's not going to be on the back of a top 3 defense. It's all about the offense.
So we heard Jon Ledyard's take on the Texans defense. Mina Kimes also bullish on the Texans defense. She believes it is top 10. I think she gave it the 9 of her top 10 defenses. Here was her explanation, specifically starting with the weaknesses that we just talked about a little bit.
Where they were weak last season, explosive plays, play action. I think that was my one hesitation is the secondary. I think the front seven rocks. If you want to make football Twitter perk up, just say Danico Autry and Aziz Al-Shaair. Those are two football nerds' favorite football players. But I thought Stingley was excellent last season. Talked about him a little bit on the AFC X Factors pod. But Kwame Lassiter, I liked his tape. He's a rookie. I'm not huge, super high on Desmond King. Petrie's got to be better than he was last year. He was so interesting to me out the gate at safety. I think that was the one thing holding me back is there's just a little bit of speculation on the part of the secondary, but this is a ascending group with stars at all three levels. I guess linebacker's kind of a question, but that tackles, that plays hard.
Man, they were in the bottom third of the NFL in yards allowed last year.
They struggled against Bryce Young. They struggled against Zach Wilson. They struggled against Desmond Ridder. They struggled against Baker Mayfield. At least that one aged well. They were a final interception away from potentially losing to Russell Wilson. Do not get me wrong. There are things to like about this Texans defense, and I thought that they were playing their best football at the very end of the year. But I feel like this is an offense-powered team. Maybe next year is when we're talking about the Texans defense as one of the better ones in the league, but I think it's very premature to be that bullish about it.
Yeah, I'm surprised because you're really banking on your front seven getting a ton of pressure on quarterbacks if you believe this about the Texans defense and covering up all the fatal flaws of your secondary. And it's Kamari, not Kwame. The other guy also said Greenard, and I hear it all the time from national media. It drives me nuts. Grenard. But you're really banking on one position group to carry this defense into a special category that it's setting the bar so high.
Your offense is going to be good. The pass rush should be complementary of the offense because theoretically you're going to be winning games and you can just send Hunter and Anderson and Autry at their quarterbacks in the third and fourth quarters of a game all game long. But you played a lot of one-score games last year, so you might not find yourself in that situation all the time. A couple of comments in response to this. Double Rod says, gonna laugh when they are 8-9. I giggle when I hear anyone say if the Texans go to the Super Bowl next year, the Chiefs are going to be in the Super Bowl every year until Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce is gone. And that's always been the vibe of the Twitch. The Twitch, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to like the Houston Texans at all.
Yep.
But I understand why anybody else would be hearing as much hype and praise of the Houston Texans, and at the very least saying, hold your horses. I think a lot of people, too, that are even excited about it are probably at the point now where, okay, can we get this thing started so that, I don't know, we don't have loftier standards than we already have right now to meet up to?
Yeah, this is finally where I think we're at jump the shark territory here. I think we're there. To say top 3 defense.
Guess what's going to happen tomorrow?
Number 1 defense?
No, but there's another Mina Kimes guest who I listened to today, and guess where the Houston Texans rank? You'll find out tomorroh. Stay tuned for that.
Is
among
that
all
offenses?
teams.
Oh,
no,
all teams.
Among all teams.
I mean,
It's insane.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's making me uncomfortable because I am bullish on them this year, but now everybody is so bullish on them. I feel like I feel uncomfortable with it. Everyone's in lockstep on this, and there's always a team every single year that everyone hypes up that doesn't live up to the hype, i.e. the Buffalo Bills a couple of years ago.
That's
And the Bills still had a good year a couple of years ago, but still, it was like, this is the best team.
If you're
They
gonna
still lost
bet,
in the playoff.
if you're gonna bet against the Houston Texans, there's a lot of money to be made. Their under is big plus money. Their odds to win the division, another team to win the division. The Texans at LeBurge were plus 105 to win the AFC South.
Man, that's it.
The Jags were plus 230. The Colts were plus 325.
Wow.
So, like, there's money to be made if you don't like the Texans because everyone's so all in on them in every category. They do, at this point, feel like the team that's going to fail to meet their expectations this year because their expectations are getting out of control.
Don't talk yourself into it quite yet. It's more we're both like, whoa.
Yeah, like,
Whoa,
like
slow
could they
down.
win? Like,
Do your shine box.
Do I think they're going to win 10 games this year and make the playoffs and win the division? Yes. Do they have an opportunity to win 2 games in the playoffs this year? Yes. Am I going to predict them to go to the Super Bowl this year? No. No, I'm not.
Also, remember
I might.
in March,
We'll wait.
like late March, after a lot of the off season kind of had wrapped up, is this the most hype a Houston Texans team has ever gotten in the off season? And we're like, we think so, but you can't forget that going before 2012, that season the hype was high. The hype was not this high.
It's lapped. 2012 has been lapped.
A couple times. This is crazy.
I think this is lapping just
The lapping?
a lot of NFL history, it feels like. Like, even the Lions last year, people were so excited about the Lions. But it was still, they're the Lions.
It's Jared Goff.
Well,
Yeah, and
it's Jared Goff, for sure.
it was they can win the division. It wasn't. This is one of the best teams in football.
I don't think, and as weird as this is going to sound, I don't think even the hype for the Texans is the most absurd thing we're hearing this offseason. Because a lot of these shows are doing what's the peak of teams, and I've heard Rich Eisen and Nick Wright like give some like Bears nonsense about Super Bowl, which I think is like makes me want to vomit. It's such a bad take.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next
But-
time we're in LaBerge,
The Texans hype it kind of blows my mind.
Yes.
That there's no one still that's really pivoted yet.
It's
gonna happen.
Someone's got to do it.
Yes.
I don't know anymore.
Someone on their July 4th holiday, Dan Orlovsky or Kyle Brandt or someone on these talking head shows is gonna
They're not going to do it.
or Nick Wright is gonna take a look at the
Wright.
landscape and be like, wait, I can be the only guy, or Colin Cowherd, I can be the only guy that says Houston Texans, not so sure.
Hey, Joe, what color is your hat right now?
Black.
I mean, isn't that a sign?
What do you mean?
Plant a flag. You said you're not going to pick the Texans to win a Super Bowl on July 1st, 2024.
Well, yeah.
It's July, baby. We got to hold some of our records accountable, huh?
I mean, look, here's the thing. If Paul predicts him to go to the Super Bowl, might have to listen. 10 win Paul last year.
I'm probably going to work. I'll be honest. Like, I probably just for fun, I will probably work my way into predicting them to win the Super Bowl by the end of the offseason. I'll probably talk myself into it. Just, you heard it here first.
15-2 in the Super Bowl win.
Well, listen, the way you rise to the top as a star is you cling on to something before it becomes a thing. So
That's true.
So I mean, I might do it. Did pick 10-7 last year. But the Texans hype, it's out of control right now. I am enjoying it at the very least. At least we've got good vibes going into the
Yes.